on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. We're going to talk about should the African nations pay reparations to black people. Yeah, we're going to dig into that one today. Today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. You know, black people have been talking about reparations for a very, very long time.
Congresswoman Cori Bush and others called for reparations. She introduced a resolution calling for the feds to pay descendants of enslaved Africans and African descent. Russell Kinsaw takes a look at the momentum building to provide compensation for the legacy of slavery.
Decided by a majority.
Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush announced her reparations resolution along with other members of Congress on the steps of the Capitol.
And the argument is out there. You know me, I don't believe in them. I think that America paid its reparations for slavery during the Civil War. 600,000 lives, right? Over that. Gettysburg, Antietam, Shiloh, the Wilderness Campaign, you name it. I mean, you had white boys and free black men died of free black slaves. Trillions of dollars in damage. Country still carries the scars of that war. We had the Homestead Act of 1866 that would give 150 acres to any free man that would go out and till the land. A lot of white men went and took advantage of it. Black men could have too. Only 5,000 did. We turned down our reparations. But again, black folks are always asking America to pay reparations. They don't ask the Confederate, the Democrat Party, the party of the Confederacy, to pay it. Nor have I ever heard them ask one of the main culprits that is at least maybe 60 or 70, hell, maybe 80% responsible for slavery in the United States of America. And that is the countries on the west coast of sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, why not? I mean, when you look at what's going on in Israel right now, right? When Israel went back and claimed part of Israel for their promised land as their homeland, they said, no, man, we were born here. A lot of things happened to drive us out. And we're coming back to claim what is ours. You ask the question, why can't we use that same argument when it comes down to what we're doing? Black people in America. Hell, you can take a DNA test, and it will tell you exactly what part of Africa you came out of. And don't let these African nations fool you. Them jokers got some money now. Matter of fact, the GDP of Nigeria was $360 billion. Angola was $84 billion. Hell, Kenya was $108 billion. And all of the minerals and wealth and everything that hadn't been dug up in Africa, yeah, man, those Africans got some money. And let me show you something. It says, beneath the surface of Africa lies a wealth of mineral resources and enormous value. In 2019, the continent produced almost 1 billion tons of minerals worth $406 billion. Yeah. According to the United Nations, Africa is home to about 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 12% of the world's oil, and 8% of the world's natural gas reserves. Did you hear that? These reserves are things that they have not dug up yet. Africa still got a lot of gold. Africa still got a lot of natural gas. Got a lot of minerals. Got all kind of stuff in Africa, man. And we sitting here hollering about reparations from the United States of America that you will never get. Believe me when I tell you, player, you'll never get it. You know those song by In Vogue a long time ago? You never going to get it? You ain't never going to get it? You ain't never going to get it? You're never going to get reparations from the United States of America. And let me tell you why. Black folks elected Barack Obama. Oh, they love some Obama. 99% of the black vote went to Barack Obama in 2008. You couldn't tell black folks nothing. They dancing in the street saying everything gonna be all right. Our Savior has arrived, Barack Hussein Obama. Barack had a filibuster-proof amount of senators in the Senate, and he had a majority in the House. Now, what does a filibuster-proof amount of senators mean? That means in the Senate, if you're going to do a vote, first the senators have to vote to allow it to proceed. It's called cloture. In order to do that, you need 60 votes from the Senate. If the Senate doesn't give you 60 votes, it cannot proceed to a vote on the floor. Now, it can pass with 51 votes, but it has to proceed to the floor. For the vote, it has to get 60. That's how a lot of bills get held up in the Senate. Never reach cloture. They pass the House, they go to the Senate. You got to have 60 votes before it can proceed for a Senate vote on whether or not it passes or not. It never gets the 60 votes. The Republicans will hold it up. The Democrats will hold it up because no party ever has 60 votes. None. Well, guess what party got 60 votes, y'all, in 2008? You got it. The Democrat Party. The Democrats had enough votes in the House, enough votes in the Senate to pass anything they wanted. They had the 60-vote cloture. Do you know how many times reparations came up? Approximately 0. As my good friend Tucker Carlson said. Approximately 0. It was never discussed. Never brought to the House floor. Never, ever, ever, ever. So, I'm asking the question. Why all these Black Caucus Negroes and Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and all these Black Lives Matter and all these little reparation groups, why they always hauling to America for reparations? Them suckers will never go to Africa, who actually did the dirty and who we actually got the ability to go and take what we want. Think about the irony of this, right? The Africans, and let's do some background here. We've been told by Black Americans that we were kidnapped from Africa by the white man, white Europeans. That the white Europeans came up in boats, got off the ships, ran into the hinterlands of Africa, grabbed us, put us back on the boats, took us to America. That's the story. That is a stone cold lie. This is how it really happened. Europeans came down from Europe, went to the coast of Africa. They made deals with some renegade Africans who would go in and they would kidnap black people and bring them back to the boats and then sell them. White men would not go into the hinterlands of Africa because if they went up in there, they get bit by a mosquito, they catch malaria, and they die. On top of that, the tribes people, the Africans, would kill them also. So they stayed on those ships and they waited for the Africans to bring the captives to them. So you tell me that if the whites are responsible for selling slaves, for buying slaves rather, should the blacks be responsible for selling them? Oh, you never pondered that. So now you ask the question, why don't the Black Caucus and all these reparation groups ask for reparations from Africa? You know why? Because they're not serious. These jokers just raising money from y'all, raising hell, going on speaking tours, flailing about, Either that or they ain't got good sense. There are a bunch of John Lewises that have been ramming their head up against brick walls their whole life, and they got brain damage. Because I'm asking the question, why when you go to the federal government and say, look, man, these daggum African nations, you got the Black Caucus, they're supposed to be running stuff, right? These African nations did us wrong. We want to do like Israel did, and we want to go up to them and say, this is our homeland. Part of what comes out of this land belongs to us, and we demand that you share it with us. And if you don't do it, we got stealth bombers and we got aircraft carriers that'll come down here and make you do it. Now, there's some irony that you sent us away from here in chains, laughing, but now we back with aircraft carriers demanding what's ours. Now, why won't they do that? That'll keep Vladimir Putin out of Africa. That'll keep Xi Jinping out of Africa, because we're in Africa. And we are not just in Africa begging, we're in Africa with a birthright. Why doesn't the Black Caucus do that, y'all? You know why? Because they're not serious. They're making fools out of y'all. Reparations is a pipe dream. If they were serious about reparations, they'd be getting reparations out of Africa. The same way that the Jews in Israel get reparations out of Germany for World War II. The same way that after World War I, a lot of European nations got reparations from Germany. It's like they can't change the way that they think. You kind of feel sorry for them. You know, I remember watching this book, The Green Book. And it came about, the Green Book came about because during Jim Crow South, black people had to eat at black establishments and stay at black hotels, black-run hotels, black-owned hotels, rather. And if you were traveling through the South, you would need to know where these places were to try to alleviate any type of conflict with the white people down South. So they made the Green Book, and you could purchase a Green Book and you could use it to travel down South, and it will tell you where you're supposed to go. All that, like the Green Book, was the worst thing in the world. Right now, to look at the Green Book as a concept of shame. And this movie depicted it as such. But now, you know what? We don't have the Green Book, but every large city in the United States of America got the black pages. What does the black pages do? Exactly what the Green Book did. Tells you where to go shop at black businesses now, because now they want black people to shop at black businesses, where back in the day with the Green Book, they didn't want you to. Wasn't that the craziest mess you ever seen in your life? Green Book bad, black page is good. It's a schizophrenic thing, man. I don't understand it. You say that America is a racist nation. It's a horrible racist nation. You got to have DEI. You got to have affirmative action. You got macroaggressions with racism. You got white supremacy. But nobody else in the world believes it, because people are breaking down the wall to get down in here, to get in America. Brown people, Africans, Chinese, you name them, they're breaking into America. The only stupid people in the world that believe America is racist is a black Democrat. And the white liberal know it's not. And they said they're lying to you, and you stupid enough to believe it. 11 million illegals breaking into America. All of them dark-skinned. And yet you believe America is racist, and every dark-skinned person in America is trying to break into. People from Africa are trying to break into America. But America's racist. Why are y'all so stupid? You know what? Call you guys stupid is insult to stupid people. I can't make us America racist. Why do you think all these black people trying to break into America? Because it's racist. How stupid that is. I don't know, man. I see black people caught into these crazy habits that's almost impossible to break. So you just kind of let them waddle in their stupidity, hoping that one day they'll find a better way. But most of the time, people don't. I learned that when I was working in the prison system. I was a young correctional officer. At 26 years old, I was given the job of maintaining security, custody, and control of 127 hardcore felons, rapists, murderers, drug dealers, in a dormitory at the Kirkland Correctional Institution. It's called B1. This was an alpha dorm. All the inmates were categorized based upon their mental acuity. The betas were, of course, betas. They're passive. Small guys that might have gotten put into jail for tax evasion or stuff like that. Then there were the gammas, and the gammas were guys that might have gone to jail. They weren't punks, but they were kind of tough guys. They weren't aggressive, crazy aggressive. They were guys that might have got in jail for maybe drug dealing, maybe manslaughter, something like that. And then you had the alphas, and they're exactly what they said they were, high alphas. Stone cold, aggressive, and crazy. So they believed that if you put these people together, they would cancel each other out. Alphas being in the dorm with alphas, you think it would be a madhouse. Actually, alphas being in the dorm with alphas is kind of cool because these guys all scatter each other because they know if you ever got into it, it was a death fight. I learned a lot from that. Yeah, they house the alpha. If you put the alphas, you mix them with the betas, oh my God, they kill them. If you mix them with the gammas, it'd be a problem all the time. But the alphas together, when they got into it, they really got into it, but they usually didn't. And I was supervising the dormitory because I was an alpha just like they were. I was crazy just like they were, so we all kind of got along. So I had an inmate, an older white guy. He was doing a life sentence for murder. He'd been in jail a long time. He was in his 50s, and he'd been in jail about 30 years. So he'd been in jail longer than I'd been alive. And I would go into the hallways. I could see my hallway from my office. And he would come out into the hallway sometime. And I don't know, he might just be waiting for someone. But when he get there, he said that he squat. He wouldn't just stand. After he stopped walking, he just squat. And he could squat so low that that his behind quarters could actually touch the heels of his feet. And I would notice him. He would walk, he would sit there, and then he'd sit down and he'd squat. So one day, out of curiosity, I walked up to him and I said, "Hey man, how you doing?" He was respectful. "How you doing, Mr. Ellison?" I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yeah, sure." And he stood up. He was squatting, and then he stood. I said, "Why do you squat when you sit here like that, when you sit here and you wait?" He said, "Mr. Ellison, I've been in prison over 30 years. He said, and when I first came to prison, prison wasn't like it is now. He said, this is a cakewalk compared to how prison was 30 years ago. He said the first prison that I went to was a prison called CCI. I remember CCI. CCI was a hellhole. And CCI and the prison system in South Carolina was so antiquated that the federal government had taken it over, and they changed it, put it under federal control. But he was there. He had been there when the prison was a real cool hand loop, terrible type of prison. A really southern hellhole. So he said that, so when I first started prison, he said I was a real hard case. He said, I'd fight and I'd argue with the officers and whatnot. He said what they did back then when you did that, they put you in the box. And he said, and the box was about maybe 4 feet high and about maybe 3 feet wide. He said, so when they put you in the box, you wouldn't be able to stand up in the box and you wouldn't be able to stretch out in the box. You'd have to sit down in this squatting position. And he said, and I stayed in the box so much that I just kind of got acclimated to squatting all the time. And it became a habit. And even when I got out of the box, whenever I stood still, I would squat. And he said, I hadn't been in the box in 25 years, but I still have the habit. And when I stop walking, I squat. I'll never forget that story. It's one of the saddest stories I ever heard in my life. But it reminded me of black people and how they've got into the habit of believing these lies, how they got into the habit of believing that America's no good, how they got into the habit of believing that they're no good, how they've gotten into these bad habits that they can't stop, like this guy can't stop the squatting. It got into their heads when they were younger, years ago, and now it's just there. And they do it without thinking. It's knee-jerk. It's just a reaction to everything. A bad habit that unless you put a lot of thought into it, you're not going to stop it. This reparations argument is one of those stupid habits that we've been talking about for 150 years. 150 years. Talking about it's going to cost America $30 trillion to pay for slavery. You think America going to give up $30 trillion? Are you crazy? Well, there are people that, yeah, they're going to give it up. And you just sit back and say, can't talk them out of it. Can't talk no sense into them. Wouldn't it make sense to just go take some helicopter gunships and go to Africa and just get the money out of them since they got it? Just say from now on, whatever comes out of Africa, we get 20% of. We'll even help you dig it up. Why don't the Black Caucus go to Donald Trump with that? Donald Trump might be the one to be for it. Say, hell yeah, let's do it. And he was talking about that, and when we went to Iran and Iraq, talking about taking the oil, right? Let's tell them we got a claim, man. You got 40 million Americans say we got a claim. We're American citizens. We want to go back and we want to get what's ours. Oh, no, they're not going to do that. See, that makes too much sense. That's much more plausible than you thinking you're going to get the Congress or the Senate or the United States of America to sign off on $30 trillion for you. You're not going to get it, bro. But you could get a coalition of black senators and black congressmen to walk up to Donald Trump and say, look, Mr. Trump, yeah, let's use the military to go there and take a few $1 trillion out of Africa because of what they did to us. I mean, America's paid this debt about slavery. It's time for Africa to pay their debt. Donald Trump may say, you got yourself a deal. Let's go do it. Call your black congressman. Call your black senator. So let's ask Africa for reparations. Let's get some money, man. We can all get rich. But you know what, y'all? They're not serious. They're probably getting paid by Africa right now, not even bring that kind of stuff to the House floor. All Africa has to do is give all them $10,000 apiece. That's a dead vote. That's all Africa got to do. They're going to see this podcast and see everybody in the Black Caucus, $10,000. They say, you ain't got to worry about that vote ever coming to the floor, President Magubu. So I would take the buyer. Y'all, this is a shame. The reparations argument is a shame. The fact that we cannot forgive and go forward is a shame. The fact that we keep looking back, we keep complaining, we keep believing that it's going to be something other than ourselves and our belief in Jesus Christ that are going to make us successful here in America. The United States of America is a beautiful country. The people are a beautiful people. Whenever I see someone in America that is not living to their full potential, all I see is waste. And I hate waste. You have the ability to have everything you want. But the most important thing you need to get first is the peace of God. You need to accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. And you can have, and then all things will be added to you. Do that first. Put that first. and watch your life become great in uncommon hours. And I'm not going to let you rest until you do it. Because you know why? Because I am here to wake you up. I hope I did you some good today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps, you got my books, my documentaries, you got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the T-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.